Hi, welcome to Well Rounded Momma's YouTube channel. My name is Sherry. I'm joined by Sarah. We're both midwives at Well Rounded Momma, located in Las Vegas, Nevada. Today, we wanted to talk about vaginal health. I hate the word vagina, but no one will know what it means if I say yoni health. I'm gonna call it vaginal health and all this stuff so that people actually know what I'm talking about.
Sounds good.
Does that sound okay?
And why do you like the word yoni?
Vagina actually means sheath for a sword. I don't possess that, nor do I wish to be one. Yoni is like Sanskrit for like where life comes from and originates from, and it's got a beautiful definition. So I really like the term yoni. I prefer it, but I understand that I do live in a system that would prefer vagina. Moving on. So we want to talk a little bit about it because especially because in Las Vegas, I think it got down to 90 yesterday. We were pretty excited.
Yep. I almost felt like fall was in the air.
I know. We were like, oh my gosh, it's 90 degrees out.
It's not 115.
Oh my gosh. What happens then is, you know what? We wear clothing that is not always conducive to having great yoni health. So we're going to give you some tips.
The first one I would say is to say no to soap on your lady parts, specifically. Use soap elsewhere.
Airing it out. I like that you're air it out.
Air it out.
Air it out.
That was literally my note.
Air it out. Air it out. It could be like the new Nair commercial. Air out your yoni.
It's hot.
Because it's hot.
Yeah.
I think wearing cloth underpants obviously is like a given, but being able to kind of air it out. So like if you wanted to wear a dress with no underpants like that, you would be okay to do that. She needs a minute.
You gotta free the girl.
She needs a minute. Like she's been constricted.
Sometimes we're wearing like really tight pants and leggings.
No, think of
and
blue
all the
jeans.
things. Gotta air out.
So what happens with that is it gets humid and it grasps moisture, and that's when yeast happens. And so say no to yeast.
Yep.
Air out your yoni.
And probably my next one is probiotics, especially if you're prone to yeast infections, or if it's summertime and you know you've been eating lots of sugary sweets or something like that, and you want to kind of boost your digestive system. Taking a good probiotic is invaluable. Like your immune system lives in your guts as well, so it doesn't just help with digestion, it also helps with flora,
Immunity and all that.
Yeah.
All the health research I've done, because I'm a professional PhD, and most of our problems stem from some version of candida because we have so much processed sugar in our lifestyle. It exists in almost everything we put in our bodies. So I think by the time we're seeing that vaginally, I think it's probably elsewhere. And the problem is that that's affecting your immune system. And when you're pregnant, you're immune compromised, so kind of making sure that you stay up on that. And probiotics doesn't mean like it has to be like a pill. Like it could be a lot of stuff that's fermented. Like
it's
ideally,
just life cultures.
Yes. So like if you just thought like in my life I'm gonna incorporate kefir, kombucha, sauerkraut, whatever
Yogurt,
that is,
kimchi,
yogurt, any of those things. Kimchi. Oh, I love kimchi. Just incorporating that in your daily diet is probably the most cost-effective way of doing that, and then it just becomes like a lifestyle change and not just another supplement you're taking. Obviously, taking a supplement is fine. People always ask me about the supplement. My understanding is you have to get at least 3 different strains, and it should be like 10 million of each strain. That's what I've read. I might be able to find sources for you, Rebecca. We'll put them here.
Cloth pads.
Nowadays you can get like organic and chemical free tampons, and I think those are great. I definitely think it's worth the added expense. When it comes to something that we're doing every month, we have to take care of ourselves. Cloth pads, I think, are one of them. I think that they are so kind to us. We were talking about like the little underpants. Neither one of us have tried that before.
I haven't tried Thinks or any of those.
Yeah, there's so many brands out now. Oh, but what you said, we do notice that when we do use like something that's organic and happier for bodies, our cycles are shorter.
They are.
I was
less
really
painful. Shocked. Yeah. So try cloth. Try something a little bit more natural.
Yeah.
It's good for you. And then let's talk a little bit about the difference between the yeasties and BV. So how can you tell if you have a yeast infection?
Yeast infection, generally you feel like itchy, uncomfortable, you have white discharge, sometimes it's kind of clumpy, but there shouldn't really be a smell to it, right? So like it's
Or it can smell a little like yeast.
Yes, but it's not like, it's a little neutral on the smell side. You're not going to be like offended by it. But some individuals in pregnancy can have asymptomatic ones because there's so much going on with your body. You've kind of chalked it up to just normal pregnancy stuff. So it's sometimes hard to tell whether you have one or not. If you're having a lot of Braxton Hicks, sometimes that's a sign. So just be aware and talk to your healthcare provider if you're having any kind of discharge that is different. It could just be mucus, could just be regular. And we sweat. And when you've got like a beach ball under your body, like you're gonna sweat. And so sometimes individuals are kind of freaked out by that. Like they'll be laying down, sleeping, and they get up and like, oh my gosh, something just came out of me.
Right. They wonder if maybe their water broke or something, and it was
you're like,
probably
no, it's probably sweat.
Pooled.
And they're like, what? I'm like, yeah, your yoni sweats. BV we see a little bit less, and it's sometimes the only way we can tell the difference is maybe we treat it as a yeast infection, it doesn't go away, and then we have to culture it. But the smell is the biggest.
Yeah. Or you can be really swollen.
You hurt a little bit.
Yeah.
You do with yeast too. Like there are definitely like times where you can be a little bit swollen. And that's hard because you have extra blood volume in your pregnancy. So everything is so swollen. And that's why I think, just being comfortable enough to talk to your care provider and ask questions. If you're not comfortable enough with your care provider who's going to deliver your baby, then you should look maybe into a care provider. I want my clients to talk to me about like anything that they're feeling. Like I don't want them to withhold that information because there's no judgment on my end, right? Because I own one as well. What do we do to treat it? I think that's the next thing on our list.
Sure. So for yeast infections, I think just improving your gut flora. So a good probiotic, staying away from anything sugary and too many carbs.
Sugar means carbs. Anything that's a sugar. If you look on the ingredients and it says carbohydrates and sugars, they're both.
Yeah. So less bread, pastas, fruit, all of that stuff. Increase your garlic. You can also use a homeopathic suppository. So we actually sell one here at the store. You can get it at like Whole Foods and Sprouts too, I believe.
You can consume garlic, but you can also use garlic as a suppository. You just peel it and place it. You don't have to wrap it. You don't have to do anything. You place it, you go to bed, you wake up in the morning, you get it out of there. I'm going to tell you right now, you'll taste it in your mouth. It's so true. My husband didn't believe me the first time I did it. And so I kissed him and he was like, so you can use it as a suppository. You can also use it in your mouth.
Yep. You could also try, like if you weren't sure if it was a yeast infection or BV, you could certainly try like infection fighter or herbal fighter, I believe is one of the words for it, but it's basically like an herbal,
like echinacea, golden seal, myrrh kind of situation. Just remember, if you do an over-the-counter monostat for yeast, it has to be a 7-day. It can't be one of those 1 or 2 day kind of things. And diflucan's just fine too. If that's your comfort level for yeast and you need a prescription of diflucan, that's going to be fine. The other thing too for BV is, I think peroxide was on the list, right?
Yeah, I don't have any personal experience with using peroxide.
Either. So one of our student midwives here, Caprice, she really likes peroxide for any kind of like pH imbalance, because that's what a lot of this is. So when we talk about friendly flora, we're talking about the pH balance. So if it's super acidic, you're going to have stuff live in there that you don't want, right? Because you have good flora and you have bad flora. And when you get that bad flora, it's generally because you're creating an environment for that bad flora to live in. And what you're trying to do is create something more alkaline. So if you think of your diet and what a big role that plays, and remember, your yoni is just one part of that. You have to imagine that's happening other places in your body.
Well, and the difference between going straight to like a prescription or going straight to monostat versus doing some of these more natural things is that's what you're doing, is you're resetting your gut flora and all of these other things. Whereas if you're just taking a monostat, that's no guarantee that the next month you're not going to get another yeast infection.
There's our yoni health discussion. You're welcome. Thanks for joining us. If you found that video helpful, like, subscribe, ring the bell. We won't ask you to let us know how your yoni's doing, but if you want to shout it out, we'll celebrate it with you. We look forward to seeing you next week.
Use soap elsewhere. Please use it in your armpits, other places.
Your butthole.
Yep.
Maybe you can't say that. But Tiffany always says that to me. I'll be like, I showered today, and she'll be like, did you clean your butthole? I'll be like, I did. We're chuckling because we were talking about this off camera and we were like, how much of this can we say on camera? I have pictures on my phone of like discharge, vaginas.
It's true.
All the things.
I get texted them at breakfast. It just happens.
It just happens.